This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And today is Throwback Thursday. And I know we didn't do Wildcard Wednesday, so Will,
I
why don't you
know.
just do that for nostalgia?
What? Do it right now?
Yeah,
Wild Card Wednesday
for no
was
reason.
yesterday.
Alright, so today we're going to be covering a game that I know extremely little about. So, Will, why don't you just take it away?
All right, BioShock 2.
Wait, I'm going to give
Uh,
the background. I
all
have
right,
this much
fine.
at least. It was launched on February 9th, 2009, so over a decade ago. It was available
2010.
on February 9th, 2010. What did I
I
say?
think I think you said 2009, but I might have misunderstood you. Just
Okay,
go on.
February 9th, 2010, over a decade ago. Available on Windows, Mac OS X, OS 10, whatever it is, Xbox 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PS4 via the BioShock collection. It was a X, or it was. Oh, I left this in from a previous episode. Delete.
Like that
It was
doesn't
a
make sense.
follow-up to the sequel. It was a follow-up sequel to the critically acclaimed original BioShock game in the same underwater world of Rapture.
Mm-hmm.
Of the BioShock trilogy, this is the only game not produced by Ken Levine.
Mm-hmm.
The BioShock franchise is the spiritual sequel to the System Shock games, which I have also not played.
Very good.
It's very famous for pointing out flaws in absolute altruism and famously developed under the pressure of success from the original BioShock. Depending on the fan you talk to, BioShock 2 can be the best or the worst in the franchise. So take it away, Will.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna say it's either the best or the worst in the franchise. I think it's pretty good. It's definitely different. So if you played the first one, I'm pretty certain you'll like the second one. However, it is very different because the character that you're playing is a very different character. So in the first game, you're playing as like a stranded. I try not to give it away. A stranded person that like lands in the ocean and finds this underwater city essentially, and it's like very much from I guess like 40s, 50s. I don't know what time period it's supposed to be in, but it's very cool. Is like this utopia that has failed, so it's turned into this dystopia. And do you know anything about these games, Chris?
I know they're underwater. I know there's like a commanding guy in the first one that kind of talks to you a little bit. You're
Hmm.
trying to go meet with him. I know at the end of the game, there's like some serious twisted stuff that happens.
Yeah, so the end of the game kind of goes off the rails. But in the first one, so that you introduce these things called Big Daddies and Little Sisters. And the Little Sisters are these little girls that have been essentially manipulated to grow this stuff called Adam inside of them. And the Big Daddies protect them. You see it right here. Oh no, that's a splicer. So the splicers are trying to harvest the Adam from these little sisters. And it gives you like these powers, and people have become addicted to it in this underwater world. And that's sort of like the conflict that is happening in the game. And then what's coming out of the water right now is a Big Daddy. So if this is a trailer for the second game, you actually play as one of the Big Daddies. Actually, I believe it's the first Big Daddy ever created. So in the first game, you're kind of like a normal dude that slowly gains these mutagen powers from like, extracting this atom and stuff. In this game, you actually are like this hulking, Big Daddy. So the weapon set and tool set is very different, but it still feels very much the same. It's still a very good game. But it was made by a different studio and it wasn't produced by Ken Levine, which is a sticking point for some people. They kind of think that this game was rushed a little bit and it didn't have as much care put into it as the first and the third games.
Yeah, I've heard that. Definitely heard that sentiment given before. Like from what I understand, the original story was supposed to start down in the Rapture and then slowly move to BioShock Infinite's world and then kind of go into space. Like I guess the original thought
I think that has
process was
been really
like
cool.
that. Like so, BioShock 2 not being produced by Ken Levine and given it to a different development team, kind of really changed the trajectory of the games altogether. So that's why we wound up with the BioShock Infinite we had that was infinitely different than this game, but also still felt like a BioShock game and
Hmm.
didn't really do what Ken Levine's original plan was. That's kind of the background I have because I've watched some videos on what BioShock was supposed to be versus what it actually was, but I don't have like the same perspective as somebody who actually played these games.
Yeah,
I think they look
I
really
think
good.
this is one of the first like game series that really introduced me to like an atmospheric game.
Hmm.
So like what's happening, what you're hearing is just as important as like the actual gameplay itself. So like just an example, like going through these tunnels, you can actually hear like whales going through the water. You can hear the water dripping, and you can also hear these in the first game. The big daddies are so freaking terrifying. So that's a big sister. It's a new enemy in that game. But like you hear the big daddies like groaning and moaning and like walking through the corridors, but you don't see them, and it's
Oof.
just so spooky. It's not like a scary game, but
Like a Dead Space kind of thing, or it's like if you're worried about a jump scare.
I I don't remember any jump scares, but it does have that like anxiety. You are full of anxiety playing the game, but it's not scary at all. It's just the atmosphere is just really well done, so you really feel that you're in that moment with the character. Yeah,
Yeah, like
I will say the gunplay is much more refined in this one compared to the first game. Go on, Chris. Sorry.
well, they didn't really know what they were doing when they developed the first game. Like they had a storyline, they had ideas, they had like an outline of like the story they had. It was the gameplay and the mechanics they weren't 100% sure how to do. And think about it,
Hmm.
this type of game had basically never been invented yet.
Hmm.
And to this day, there's nothing that competes with this on a like atmospheric and cinematic feel. I've
Hmm.
never seen a game that really captures what this game did.
Yeah. I can understand how this is sort of a spiritual successor to System Shock. I think they're very different games, but you have like the little mini games where you can like hardwire different uh like security cameras and also like auto turrets and stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
is sort of similar to System Shock. Maybe I think they remade System Shock recently or the second one, so maybe that one feels more close to these games. But the old System Shock games, I feel like they're like the original sim game, and I feel like this is a very different beast. But you can kind of see because it's the same team that worked on System Shock 2 that worked on the first BioShock game. So you can kind of see how they carried some of those ideas over into this game and then create like a really like its own genre again.
Well, and when you think about the fact that Marathon and like Into the Dark is a spiritual ancestor to Halo,
Yeah,
it, it,
that's a
it
fair
makes
comparison.
sense. It makes sense
Yeah.
that this would be the natural evolution from a game like System Shock.
Hmm.
So I get it. And then going from this to Infinite, there was a lot of people disappointed they weren't back in Rapture
Yes.
because it really felt like you didn't finish things down there. And
Yeah.
that sentiment is, I mean, it echoes pretty far, which is why I never really end up playing the BioShock games. I like playing games. Same with books. I like doing things that are already complete and have a
Hmm.
full review on them before I play them.
I
I
hate getting stuck because that's how I feel with the Song of Ice and Fire books right now. Is that it's not finished and I've been waiting for years.
Well, ever since I got burned on KOTOR 2, never actually getting a
Hmm.
KOTOR 3 and the Old Republic and what that is, I just have a hard time getting into series that aren't finished or aren't established enough that we know we're getting the ending at some point.
Hmm.
Like, I would have never thought a Star Wars game would not get an ending, and
Hmm.
yet KOTOR basically never got an ending.
I will say Infinite does have DLC where you go back to Rapture.
Huh.
Yeah,
Like, I
but
mean, and
I
then
understand your sentiment. Yeah.
there's games that I don't mind the fact that they don't have a true ending. It's like Dead Rising. Like, it could end to any of the games. Like it's not like there's any established continuation that must be completed for me to feel like I have a sense of completion in that
Hmm.
game. Like I just and like Halo can continue on, right? And it's such a big franchise, it's not going anywhere. But a game like BioShock, it's probably done after Infinite. I don't think there's anything else happening with BioShock anytime soon.
There is a rumor there's a fourth one coming.
Hmm.
I'm excited for it.
I wonder if Ken
So
Levine will be part of the team.
I don't know if he will be or not.
There's also a rumored PS Vita game that would have occurred between
Yeah.
Bioshock 2 and Infinite that would have bridged the story better. So
Yeah. It
sad
never
we
came
never
to
got it.
fruition
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
The Vita was expected to carry a lot of these types of games, and they never did. So another failed but awesome console. But overall, Bioshock 2, even people that have never played this, you see this, you're like, oh, it's Bioshock.
Yep. It's
It's
very true.
iconic. It's iconic. And I think this type of game, where it's so atmospheric and cinematic, inspired games like The Last of Us, which is
Mm.
extremely
That's true.
cinematic and original. And generally speaking, I think the fact that the original creator didn't do this, but it wasn't the first in the series. At least they had a theme and an atmosphere and like established mechanics they could use. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So overall, this is a really great game. I may end up playing it at some point. I just haven't yet. It's a game I've always
I have
looked
a
at fondly.
360. I'll let you borrow it.
I believe I actually have a copy of this game, but
Oh my gosh, I haven't played it yet. Okay.
But yeah, so I just have such a big backlog and little time.
Oh my gosh, I understand that.
Especially with Cars 3 driven to win. You know?
Yeah.
As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Will.
And we will see you
On the next CHRILLCAST.